This edition of MacVoices is sponsored by Smile, the makers of the brand new PDF Pen Scan Plus for iPhone and iPad, as well as PDF Pen, PDF Pen Pro, PDF Pen for iPhone, PDF Pen for iPad, Text Expander Touch, and Disc Label. Find out more about all their great products at smilesoftware.com. Welcome to MacVoices. This is a Talk of the Mac community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, the road to Macworld sprawls out ahead of us. Not really, because we're starting to get short on time. We're all going to start boarding planes, trains, automobiles, whatever it takes to get to San Francisco. We hope you'll be doing the same. This time, we're going to talk to Mr. Don McAllister, my friend, and the podcasting godfather, video podcasting godfather, which is about the biggest build-up I can give you, Don. It's great to see you.
Good to see you too, Chuck. Yeah, thanks for that. I don't know. Well, yeah, been doing it a while now, I suppose. But looking forward to Macworld. It's not that long now. It's only, well, at the time I recorded, it's only about 3 or 4 weeks away. So,
yeah, wish you hadn't said that, because I still got a lot to do. Yeah,
same here. And of course, it's a long way. I know it's a long way for you as well, but it's an even longer way for me to travel as well. So, a few things to sort out.
Well, you just seem to jet across the pond like there's nothing to it.
2 or 3 times a year, probably, for certain events. Macworld's a definite event that I go to. New Media Expo, or what Blogworld is called, or it used to be called Blogworld. It's now, I don't know, they change it every year, but that's another one I tend to go to as well. And I used to go to WWDC, but I've sort of I don't do that anymore because the places are so limited. And although I do have a couple of apps in the App Store, I'm not really a developer, so I sort of look at that from afar.
Yeah, they're all fun, but that is a little bit different vibe. And if you're not willing to spend the money and you don't have the need for the developer information, one, it's better to give that place to somebody who really can use it, and two, it just doesn't make sense because you're not going to use the information no matter how interesting it might be.
That's right, yeah, and it is very expensive. I know a lot of people actually go over there just for the buzz, and to hang around in the various events that are going on. And I know there's also a number of alternative WWDC events going on as well. But it's sometimes easy to get the information from afar, at least the information that you can sort of pass on to others. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. Well, one thing, Macworld is affordable and is for everyone, and that's why I think we all love it. Not just the fact that we get together with a lot of our friends and the people we get to see once a year, but just the whole vibe. You come away energized, enthused, and I always come home with, I was about to say a notebook full of stuff. Nobody uses notebooks anymore, but just, screen after screen after screen of things I want to check out, things I learned, things that maybe will solve a problem of mine. You're going to try to solve, though, I think, some interesting problems with your session this year. You're doing a session on numbers. Yeah,
what's new in Numbers 3? Should be interesting. I've actually done a couple of screencasts about numbers. As probably everyone is aware, they've released a completely renewed versions of the whole iWork suite, and to come under a fair amount of criticism as well for the way they've approached it, because they've basically had to rewrite all the Mac applications and the iOS applications as well, mainly to give cross-platform compatibility. So now you can use Numbers, Pages, and Keynote on your Mac and on your iOS device, and you have full file compatibility. So there's no more worries now. You can sync everything to the cloud, open it up on any device, and it should work. But to do that, they've had to make some compromises in that they've had to drop some features. They've actually made a few things more powerful in a couple of the applications. But Numbers is the one that I've chosen to take a look at. I think Pages and Keynote were already taken by the time I got round to putting in my submission. So I'm going to have a look at Numbers.
Don, well, I guess first of all, to make sure that we know, are you going to be covering just the Mac version, just the iOS version, or just the Numbers suite, if you will?
Yeah, I think I'll actually touch on both. I'm being a little bit cagey about the actual full content of the session. One, because I'm trying to leave it to as late as possible to actually completely sort of lock it down. One of the things they're doing with iWork is that they have committed to bringing out quite a few releases to add in some additional features that weren't missing from the original versions. So I don't sort of want to be sort of, on the left foot. I want to try and have it as sort of up to date as possible. So I think I probably will, because a lot of the features are, the cross compatibility side of things. There are some issues with Numbers or some features in Numbers that will work on the Mac, and you can create and edit those features on the Mac, and they will work on iOS as well, but you can't edit or create them on that platform. So I'll probably have a look at a bit of both, give lots of demos, but sort of looking at the Mac, looking at the iOS version, and seeing where they cross over and seeing how people can best use them on both platforms.
Don, what is it about Numbers? Numbers, out of all the iWork suite applications, it seems to be the one that gets the least love, the least attention. And I can't figure out why. What is Excel just that entrenched?
I don't know. I think this time round, though, I think Pages has taken more of a beating with the updates than Numbers this time round. But I mean, traditionally, Numbers has always been sort of like the lesser of the applications as far as spreadsheet goes. And I'm not here to defend Numbers. If you are a power user and you want to do some serious number crunching with large data sets and do some quite advanced stuff, probably Excel is still the way to go. And I think no one's that loyal to Apple that they would actually dispute that, because Excel is sort of like, it's the de facto standard for spreadsheets. But Numbers itself has quite a few features that make it a lot easier for normal people to use, people who have moderate requirements for number crunching. There's some really nice features in there. And with it being an Apple product, it's really designed not just for ease of use, but to make the output beautiful as well. It's very easy to format and to produce some quite stunning reports and tables. If you actually want to present your data from Numbers to other people. And also, again, something I'll probably touch in the session, there's quite a lot of interchangeability between all the suites. So if you want to drop a Numbers table into Pages, it's quite easy to do, and it retains all the formatting. You can even work on them while you're in your Pages document. And so I'll be taking a look at some of those aspects as well. Also, charting, people now don't really want to see just a table of numbers. They want to see nice charts. And there's some new charts in Numbers 3. They've always had 2D and 3D charts, but there's a new type of chart now called an interactive chart, so that you can actually manipulate the data in real time and see bar charts change and line charts change, etc. So I'll probably take a look at that as well.
Yeah, it's eye candy, but it's useful eye candy, because you get to look at your data in motion.
Well, that's right. And it's not really meant for the corporate world. It's really meant for small businesses and for individuals who want to play with relatively reasonable sized data sets of information.
Numbers is one thing I'd love to see have benefit from that effect, where people just kind of sneak it in the back door, start doing things with it, slap it up on a projection screen or whatever, and then have somebody say, "Wow, how'd you do that?" And, "Well, I did it in Numbers." "Well, I can't do that in Excel," or it's not as easy to do in Excel. And, well, then maybe that's a good reason for you to take a look at Numbers. I'm sorry, I just am not convinced that there are that many people out there, relatively speaking, that need all that power, the pivot tables and all that stuff.
I think there are parallels between Keynote and PowerPoint. Keynote has made its way into the corporate environment. People know that if you're going to do a presentation, you're far better off using Keynote because of all the tools, the animation tools. It's a very cinematic experience, and it's very easy as well. And it's that's one thing with the new version of Keynote. I've recently just done, or I'm in the middle of doing 2 Keynote shows for Screencasts Online, and I was a little bit worried because Keynote used to be one of my favorite applications, and I was really hoping that they've been accused of dumbing down Pages and Numbers in various ways, and I just wanted to make sure that Keynote was fine. And it's great. It's probably easier to use now, and they've kept most of the animations in there as well, but they've made it simpler to sort of sort out the animations. And that's the sort of impression I'm getting with Numbers. It's that sort of feel. It's very much it's not a presentation tool, but it sort of has a parallel between Keynote and PowerPoint, Numbers and Excel. It's very much a visual type of tool, and well suited to displaying information and for relaying information in an attractive way.
The other thing that Numbers never gets any credit for, I don't think, is the list features and the ability to do more than just a traditional spreadsheet, but maybe work it toward a simple database kind of thing.
Yeah, and there are some tools on the iOS version now that enable you to create sort of data entry modes. It's really simple. If you want to create a spreadsheet that doesn't just have a number entry cell or a text entry cell, there's all sorts of controls now, stepper controls and star rating controls, There's about half a dozen different types of controls. It's very, very easy to embed into the spreadsheet itself to make it easier for people to actually populate the tables with information. So, there's lots of areas around there where they've sort of honed those things, and it works cross-platform as well, which is really nice. And of course, if you really do want to get into some advanced stuff, a big criticism of Numbers when Numbers 3 came out was that they'd removed AppleScript completely. So if you were doing anything programmatically or anything a little bit more advanced with Numbers, you couldn't do that. And lo and behold, 2 or 3 versions in, they've actually now reintroduced AppleScript. So I'll probably do a little bit in the session demonstrating, how you can use AppleScript to automate certain functions, building spreadsheets out or adding columns or, populating data that you do repeatedly within a spreadsheet. So if you really do want to do it, use Numbers in a more advanced fashion, the tools are there to allow you to do that.
Don, you may have already answered this at one level, but why did you propose a Numbers session for Macworld? You obviously must feel strongly that Numbers is a tool that should be looked at and people need to be aware of.
Yeah, I think I think with it being Macworld, there's lots and lots and lots of third-party applications, but I think the sort of philosophy behind Macworld is that it's meant for the broader audience. So if you can concentrate on an Apple product or some Apple software, I just think it seems more appropriate in that environment that we're not pushing different types of third-party software. It's really for people to go along to and learn more about the Mac, and they don't have to spend hundreds of pounds or whatever to get a piece of software, to try it out. It actually comes with the Mac now anyway, so it's a free piece of software in effect. So I think it's really, a good way to promote the software that's provided with the Mac or with your iPad. And if people sometimes they know they've got it, but they don't really have the time to check it out, or they haven't the inclination, or they might have heard, especially with the latest version, they might have heard when they first came out, the things that were going around were horrendous. What have they done? And people were up in arms about it. But if you step back and take a look and investigate it in a bit of detail, it's actually still quite a rich platform, and it's a very capable platform. And the applications now, they can do probably 80% of what most people need them to do.
This edition of MacVoices is sponsored by Smile, the makers of PDF Pen, PDF Pen Pro, PDF Pen for iPhone, PDF Pen for iPad, PDF Pen Scan Plus for iPhone and iPad, Text Expander Touch, and Disk Label. Find out more about all their great products at smilesoftware.com. Today, I want to encourage you to explore the power of Text Expander. Yes, that's right, the power of Text Expander. I'm trying to compile a list of the software that I use the most, that I consider essential, and Text Expander is leading the pack. That's because I keep finding new uses for it by looking at all the things I do day in and day out, over and over, and realize how easy it is to make and use Text Expander to streamline the process. For me, that's writing up posts on MacVoices that often contain many of the same elements, all of the email tasks associated with setting up interviews, and submitting information to various promotional channels. And that doesn't even start to touch what happens at the office. And all those tasks are easier with the power of Text Expander. But what if you're not sure where to get started? I want to help you with that in the next few editions of the show by telling you where to go to get some snippets that will help you and get you familiar with, yes, you guessed it, the power of Text Expander. For your first trip, head over to smilesoftware.com and take a look at their predefined snippets groups page. There you will find snippets for accent words, snippets to correct typos in several languages, HTML and CSS snippets if you're into internet coding, internet productivity snippets that can help shorten URLs, and more, and symbol snippets that will keep you from searching for the cent or euro symbols. And make special note of the Tidbits Autocorrect Dictionary, a must-install for Text Expander that will correct 2,400 common misspellings. Snippets are easy to install and easy to learn. In fact, the autocorrect snippets don't require any learning. They're just there, waiting in the background, ready to fix your mistakes quickly and automatically. Look at them all and get started with Text Expander today. Get a demo version of Text Expander at smilesoftware.com, then buy directly from the website or on the Mac App Store. Soon, you'll be hooked on the power of Text Expander. Smile, the makers of world-class software like Text Expander and Text Expander Touch for iPhone and iPad. Thanks to Smile for sponsoring this edition of MacVoices. Yeah, and it is a little frustrating, but I have to tell you, even I forget that Numbers, Keynote, and Pages are now free applications for the Mac. It's because I was used to at one point or another paying for them, and I certainly found plenty of value. Yeah. So yeah, this is a free tool, and it's strange how sometimes we tend to overlook the free tools.
Yeah, I mean, and they are very capable tools, and I think especially now as we're moving into the post PC era, when the iPads and iPhones are becoming more and more used, the fact that we can now seamlessly interchange information between them, it's a huge benefit. I'm finding I'm using Pages a lot more than I used to, although Pages is a little bit of a sore point with me because they have removed some features that I desperately need in Pages. But, if I need to do that specific job, I've still got the old version of Pages there that I can do. And I'm referring mainly to Mail Merge. I use Mail Merge a lot in Pages because I use Pages as the design template for my magazine. So I use Numbers and Pages. Numbers provides the data and Pages provides the layout, and I use Mail Merge to actually generate the content. But I can still do that. They haven't taken those features away. They've just brought these new versions of the applications out, and I'm starting to use those new versions of the applications to do things that don't need those old functions. And to have a Pages document or a Numbers spreadsheet on your iPad, work on it, and then by the time you get back to your desk, you can open it up and it's synced over iCloud, and you can just carry on working with it. I think it's a really nice feature.
At the risk of taking us off topic for a second, so are Pages and Numbers your primary tools, or some of the primary tools to create your magazine?
They are the primary tools, actually, yeah. They're the tools that I use to create the content, and then I use a platform called Magcast, which is a web-based platform that actually generates the app and generates the issues. But yeah, I have all my I use another web-based tool called Podio. So all the content is in Podio, whether it be the links to the videos or the descriptions of the videos. People who write articles for the magazines enter them directly into Podio now, and it's just like a database backend. I can then export that into spreadsheet format. It actually comes out in Excel format, but I can load that into Numbers. So I've got all my data in a big table in Numbers, and then I get my Pages, and I have templates with mail merge fields in there, and I press a button and it sucks all the data out of the Numbers spreadsheet, drops it into Pages, and I create a PDF and then throw that into Magcast, and there's my magazine. So it's a really nice little workflow.
Is that all, Don?
There's a little bit more involved as well. We need to add the links in and stuff later, but it works very well. It works very well.
No, listen, I think it's great because it really shows that you've adopted this, and in some ways maybe it would have been easier to go another direction, but you've stuck with the Apple tools, and it sounds like they're proving themselves for you because the Screencasts Online Mag looks great. It's getting a lot of attention, and we should mention that's another place you need to go, folks, to check out what Don does. The Screencasts Online magazine as well as Screencasts Online.
Yeah. But I have to say that version of Pages, though, that is the old version of Pages that does that. But I've got every confidence that they will roll forward, that missing piece, the mail merge, into the latest version of Pages and Numbers. It's just when they do it, which is why I'm hoping that it's not too long, but I hope it's not the week before Macworld, so I don't have to change all my presentation. That's the main thing.
Yeah, well, and Apple did something really different and unique for them this time. They gave you the new versions of all the iWork tools, but they left the old ones untouched, so they didn't disappear. They're still there. So if one of your favorite features or your critical features it didn't make it to the new versions, you can still use the old one and just wait until it does get upgraded.
Yeah, that's right. And they've also provided export features as well. So if you do want to work in the new applications, but then you do need to get them into the old applications, you can export in the old format as well. So again, with Numbers, you can export to Numbers 09 format and carry on using it in Numbers 09 if you really need to.
Is that you think, a sign of a kinder, gentler Apple that they aren't as willing to burn the bridge behind them in the name of progress?
It's something that they've done before. I mean, they did that with Final Cut as well. When Final Cut 10 came out, you could still use Final Cut 7. and carry on using that. And there are people still using Final Cut 7 to this day, but Final Cut 10 has improved and improved and improved until the point now where it is a viable alternative to using the old one. And I've heard so many people now that have made the switch to Final Cut 10 that would never go back, and it's easier to use, it's more powerful, and there's just so many benefits to using it. But they didn't burn the bridges. They left the old version there, so you could carry on using it if you wanted to.
That's a really interesting example, and one that resonates with me, because I made the jump, and I was certainly no Final Cut 7 wizard by any means. But when I jumped to 10, there was so much discussion about it's like iMovie, iMovie Pro, and now I can't imagine going back to Final Cut 7. There's so many things I can do so much faster and easier, and I don't think it's simplified. It's just easier. They made the things that you do the most often a lot easier to do.
I think it was harder for people who came from Final Cut 7 to move to Final Cut 10. But people who'd never edited before, if they jumped straight into Final Cut 10, it was so much easier for them to learn. It was a much more rapid sort of getting up to speed. And with the latest version 10.1, they've introduced a whole ton of functionality. And again, it's very similar to, there is a parallel to Pages, Numbers, and Keynote with the latest versions. I think they've only released one, possibly two updates to those applications since they were released. And each one of those updates has actually brought in some of the missing functionality. So they've sort of started at a low point, and they're starting to add back in the functionality. So a year, 2 years time, we'll probably look back and wonder what was all the they did leave quite a lot out, but most of it's back in. And now that it's back in, it's actually more functional. It's easier to use than the original versions anyway, and people would probably never go back to the original versions.
So to circle back full bore to your session, Don, who should come to this session? Is this going to be a little more of an introduction to Numbers? Is it an update to Numbers, or is it going to be the Numbers power user that
Right. Yeah, I think, and I don't really like doing complete beginners sessions or complete advanced sessions, because you can never really quite hit the mark, or there's bound to be someone who'll come who will then be disappointed because it's not at their level. So I do try and even it out. So I'm not really anticipating people coming along with as power users, because they probably, unless they are power users of the old version and they haven't been able to look at the new version without throwing their hands up in despair. But it's really going to be for everybody. It's going to be some of the basics. It is a tour. The actual session title is the tour of Numbers 3. So I'll go through all the new features, and I'll also touch on some of the more advanced features as well, and perhaps features that people mightn't have realized that were in there because they haven't had the time or the inclination to have a look at the new versions.
That may be the most valuable part of it, because we all get wrapped up in our way of doing things, and unless a new feature lands square in the middle of that, you look at something and say, well, that's nice, and I'll figure it out later, and you never get back around to it.
Well, that's the benefit of doing, the Screencast Online video tutorials, because I have to, if I'm going to show someone how to use an application, I need to know it myself, and I need to spend time then and sort of analyze and deconstruct it and understand how it works and in what context you might use it. So, I'm sort of in a better position because that's my day job. That's what I do for a living. I have the luxury of the time to have a look at these apps and understand, how they work, and then put together my video tutorials. So using that experience, I should be able to put together a nice session for Macworld.
Yeah, that's great. So, Don, when is the session?
Right, that's a good question. I think it's on Saturday morning. Let me just double check. It's session CF865, What's New in Numbers 3, and it's on Saturday, March the 29th at 10 a.m. Until 10:45.
Well, unfortunately, I won't be able to be there. Because I'm doing a session against you.
Oh, really? Oh, competition.
So if I bore them, they can come down the hall. And
what's your session?
I don't even know which one that is, because I've got two, so I'm not sure which is which.
Okay. But well, that's disappointing for me then, because I won't be able to come to yours then. So
yeah, well,
but if you've got two, that's all right. I'll come to your other one.
Maybe we could combine. No, that's not going to work. No, that's not a good idea. Well, it's nice to give people a choice, and
yes.
come to the one that they think is the best, and or the one that applies to them most, because there is no best. It's just what works for you. What else you got going at Macworld this year, Don?
There's a couple of things we mentioned before about me coming across from the UK. There's actually the Brits are coming. There's some more English podcasters coming over as well. Ewan Rankin and some of the other guys from the British Tech Network are actually making their first appearance over at Macworld. So that should be quite fun. So they're doing a live podcast. I should really know when it is, but I'll let you know when it is, and you can put it in the show notes. And then we've got the Mac Roundtable as well. Mac Roundtable's doing a session at Macworld this year as well, so that should be good. And then just basically, the usual haunts, checking out the usual events and things, and just generally being around.
That's good. Wow! Mm-hmm. So you're bringing a posse from across the pond. That's
I think there's only 3 or 4 of us, but it'll be nice to have some fellow Brits there as well to fly the flag.
Well, the Beatles were only 4, and.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
I'm trying to figure out which Beatle you would be, Don, but
as long as it's not Ringo, that's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, folks. He said that. I did not. I did not. Well, Don, I can't wait to see you, and I can't wait to see everybody at Macworld. We talk about it so much, but it is so much fun. I just wish we could invite every single person that hears your show and my show to come and spend some time with us, because it is just a blast. Yeah,
and as you say, it is. If you put aside the travel and the accommodation, because there's nothing they can control, although there are some special rates you can get. The actual price for admission, the ticket, they do a really good deal now. Even if you just go into the show floor, you can get in. Lots of people have got sort of free passes they can get, but even if not, I think it's only $10 or something for a show pass. But the true value is the is it still called the iFan tickets, so $99 or something?
I believe, or something like that.
Yeah, it's very, very inexpensive for the 3 days worth of sessions. So it's good value if you can get there and sort out your accommodation and your travel. The actual cost of going to the exhibition and to the expo itself is negligible these days. It's very, very good value.
And you come a day early or two, you stay a day later or two. San Francisco and the area is a great area to vacation. So if you're bringing the rest of the family, let them go and do that stuff.
Oh, yeah, you go to Macworld. Lots to see. Definitely lots to see.
Yeah. Well, I will see you real soon.
Yeah, see you in a couple of weeks.
Okay, Don, thanks for the time. Great to talk to you.
All right. Good to talk to you too.
Folks, here we go again. Don will be in San Francisco. I'll be in San Francisco. He's bringing friends. I hope you'll come and be my friends to repel the British invasion. No, not really. Until the next time, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. We're on the road to Macworld. We hope to see you there. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for links, show notes, to subscribe, to connect with Chuck on Twitter, app.net, Google+, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter, the MacVoices Dispatch, to stay up to date with all the latest MacVoices news from our front page or at macvoices.com/newsletter. Advertising and sponsorships handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com.